Highlanders obviously had another good performance against the Crusaders, which they've had 2 good performances against the Crusaders and 2 good performances all up this season. Do we think that's just a Southern Derby thing, Richard, or did you see some signs the Highlanders can maybe build through for the rest of the season from that game on Friday night?
Well, yeah, they definitely seem to be getting up for the Southern Derby, but yeah, I mean, they would have taken plenty of positives from the game, but good Lord, they need to kind of just work on that.
Good Lord. Josh
they had
Lord.
all that position in the second half, and it wasn't a point scored, was there? They just dominated, and they turned down a couple of probably pretty kickable penalties, and then there was Mitch Hunt sort of kicking the ball dead. So I see they've gone with the same pretty strong team this week, which I think they sort of have to do. They realised they've got Moana Pasifika this week. This is a game that they can't lose. Not that they can't lose it, but for their season, they really
they can't lose it.
If there any chance of making the playoffs, this is one they need to pick up. Not just for the points, but to get the team, out of that sort of
for the morale,
that trend of loss.
Especially with these Australian, I think they've got one more week of the New Zealand teams, and then going over to having these cross playing against the Australian teams. They need to go in there with a win, just for the morale way. So they'll, as I said, they've named a strong team, so they're obviously they're keen to just go forward with it. They've got Smith, Hunt, Frizzell all starting. I think the group's starting as well. So they're not taking this game lightly at all, which we've seen the likes of the Crusaders and Chiefs and the Blues do. So I'm looking forward to that game. I think it'll be good. There's plenty of sort of storylines to come out of it, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it does look like it should be a really interesting clash. Moana Pasifika, I think the scoreline probably flattered the Blues a little bit on both occasions. They were certainly competitive for the first 60 or so minutes in both those games, and not going to be facing quite the same level of opposition here.
They've got another 8 game and 3 games. 8 games in 3 days. That'd be tough. 3 games in 8 days coming up again, haven't they? And so obviously the whole squad's going to be getting a good go, but
this is the one to target, though, surely.
Well, if you're Moana Pasifika, this is the one where you go, let's put our best 15 out there, have a real good go, try and pick up another win, and then obviously rotate other players in during the that 8-day stretch. So, I agree.
Yeah, because you got like the Hurricanes. Well, we know they can beat the Hurricanes, and then the Chiefs at Hamilton next Saturday. So you'd probably think maybe, especially if they do get the 4 points here, they can probably afford to sort of give a few guys a rest maybe next Saturday, and you don't want to say write it off, but write it off,
but they're going to have to rest some players.
They're not going to play the same 3 games in a row.
No.
But were you surprised to see such a wide margin between the 2 teams in betting?
Look, if the Highlanders put it all together, then they can certainly. They haven't been totally outplayed in any of the games that they've played so far this season. They've been in a lot of them. They've been in winning positions in a number of them. You don't like.
They just don't have the depth,
Well, okay,
it's totally outplayed. Yeah.
Okay, outside of that, I think the Highlanders have been there or thereabouts. So, and as you say, this is one that they're going to have to target. Just like if you're Moana Pasifika, you're targeting it. If you're the Highlanders, you're definitely targeting this one. So, we saw them against the Crusaders last week. That the Crusaders are the benchmark, and they can foot it. They were right with them until, in fact, they were ahead of them for a good portion of that game. And once again, the Crusaders were able to get out of jail late. But the Highlanders, what is it, 18.5 at the moment? Has it moved?
It's right around sort of high teens. Where are we? As of 9:47, 20.5 now you can get.
Oh, so it has moved. It's moved out. Oh, right. Yeah, it's sort of getting to that.
Keep on moving.
That 21.5, that 3-try sort of buffer.
For a team that hasn't scored more than 25 points in a game this season, giving a 20-point head start is.
Yeah, I'm getting very interested at 21.5.
How about you, Richard? What were your first thoughts when you saw the $1.06 next to the Highlanders?
Yeah, it was that line's just far too big for me for a team that hasn't won a game this season. I think they've as you sort of Paul said, they have competed in most of the games this season, but they just don't have the depth and the sort of that sort of clinicalness that some of the other teams, in particular probably the Crusaders and the Chiefs, have in this comp at the moment, and the Blues probably. So when I saw that it was quite a high line, I thought I'm more than happy to side with the plus there. They've named a pretty strong side. Moana Pasifika have. I think the big out for them is Notime Stowers. He's just been mammoth for them this season. He's been one of the players of the comp.
Yeah.
One of the players of the comp. So and they've gone with Inare and Liala Fanu at 9-10. So I think that's about the second or third time they've gone with those two together. So that might be their sort of go-to starting 9-10 combo now. But yeah, they've got the midfield back, Tuala and
I think Amoa is a massive in it.
Yeah, Amoa, yeah.
He was awesome against the Hurricanes, aside from a relatively unlucky yellow card. The defensive intensity he brings, he's up in people's faces, and against a Highlanders team who lack a bit of punch in their back line, I think we can see them really.
And strong midfield as well, yeah. So
yeah, I love that midfield combination.
Oh yeah,
him and Danny Tuala.
Danny Tuala's been. Well, and like Danny Tuala's a player who's had tons of potential. He was a star going through the schoolboy ranks and in juniors, and it just couldn't quite put it all together at the Hurricanes. It's not like he's sort of come out of nowhere. And like Levi Armour's been doing this thing at Tasman for years. So I think that's a real strength for them. And you compare it to what is probably one of the weaker areas for the Highlanders. I think, that's somewhere where I could see the Moana Pasifika certainly having plenty of success.
There's obviously the story of Aaron Major returning to
Highlanders.
You saw how much that winning, like those shots from the coach's box. You saw how much that meant. So I reckon there could be some pretty gold sort of memes come out of his reactions from the game on was it Friday? Yeah, Friday night. Depending on the result.
We'd get a bigger reaction from him if they win this one than we did against the Canes.
Big time.
Yeah.
There's nothing like going back to your old team and putting one on them.
Because he just got, they didn't re-sign him, didn't they? Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. You don't really see coaches get fired in New Zealand the way they do in the Premier League or the NBA or anything like that. But it was the closest thing I think you'll get to a canning. So I'm sure he'll be fairly motivated, and I do think
it'd be huge for this season. If they win this one, they're well on the in the hunt for the
2 wins against New Zealand teams there, and then with a lot of games against Australian teams to go, which, judging on what we've seen from them so far, I think they're going to be very competitive against every Australian. Just the defense, if nothing else, those Aussie teams are going to struggle to put points on them. So that's exciting stuff. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think if nothing else is like with both teams, not seasons on the line, but just a pivotal game for both team seasons that you're going to see pretty fired up. And Moana Pasifika haven't been lacking intensity in any of the games so far. So, pretty fired up for that one. Any other areas of betting stand out, or any pointers we need to give the punters for this one? I think that sums it up.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the 21.5.
Right. Yeah, I have to think it's going to keep moving, right? If it's got to 20.5 and it hasn't come back since the teams were named, let it keep on rolling, and then I'll probably get tripped up by another Moana Pasifika line that I thought moved far too far in one direction. So, if you can get 21.5, 22.5, and just we'll get to it later in best bets. But with bonus back in play, Highlanders 1 to 12, $4. I do think Moana Pasifika can win this, but I think anything I'm probably leaning towards a low-scoring game. Sort of thinking back to what we saw between the Hurricanes and the Highlanders at the Cajun a few weeks ago, where both teams looked sort of allergic to the try line, and then the Hurricanes Moana Pasifika game at Mount Smart wasn't exactly high-scoring either. That was sort of the Hurricanes had a lot of ball and couldn't do anything with it, which I'd expect Moana Pasifika's defense to hold up just as well here. So, $4 with the bonus back insurance looks pretty tasty for mine.
I like that. I was looking at that myself as well.